Welcome to Akoni Tech Talks. For this week's episode, we are joined by cybersecurity content creator Ronan Tech. Let's get started straight away. So, Ronan, you have been using your platform as an international student. You're studying computer science in the US. But when you're not studying, you're doing your security research, but you've got over 100,000 followers across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, engaging all of those people with really informative software development and cybersecurity videos. But when did your interest in that kind of field first start?
Yeah, if I had to think back, it started around in high school, which I think is secondary school for more UK people, but
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have some computer science classes at the high school that I went to. So that's where I was first introduced to. I just took it because it sounded interesting and took those classes. And as I'm working on different projects in and school assignments, I realized that not only am I good at this, but I found ways to optimize the code even better
Hmm.
and like think of new solutions that weren't thought of before. And that's where I realized I might have a natural skill for this and an interest in it. And then during my free time, I just kind of experimented with other stuff in IT and tech. I started off with web development because I enjoy web development because it's one of the first ways you can really make an impact on, you know, using technology. And
Yeah.
so, I remember that feeling when I first deployed my first website and a little Chrome extension and seeing people actually use the extension
Hmm.
and, download it onto their own browsers. I thought like, oh, like the code that I wrote is actually changing the way people live and improving their productivity. So that's why I realized like web development is a great tool to
Hmm.
uh, leverage technology for the better of other people. And so I started developing skills through web development and then more into application development. And then through an internship I did last summer, I did a little bit of mobile development. But while I'm doing all those things, it's important to learn about the security of
Yeah.
how you handle information and how the application runs when writing these web and mobile apps. And that's where I kind of started becoming interested in cybersecurity. And currently, I go to Colorado College, which is a liberal arts school in Colorado Springs. And the area around that place is very um, there's a big interest in cybersecurity because there are a lot of government contractors and a lot of people who work in the military. So just being in that area, in that scene, talking to a lot of people, networking with those people, they taught me a lot about cybersecurity. And I guess just the environment molded me to
Hmm.
become skilled into cybersecurity and become interested in cybersecurity. So did a couple, they're called Capture the Flags, which is kind of like a hackathon for cybersecurity where you find a bunch of vulnerabilities in whatever technology they give you. But I was doing that and just learning it on my own time. And while I'm leveraging my content creation, I also built a free course on web security, which has about, I think it's 2,800 students now, which I'm pretty pleased with.
Yeah.
And I'm all about just, educating people. Like I realize I'm still in this journey and I don't think I'm at that level yet where I can um call myself an expert in anything,
Hmm.
but just trying to share the journey. So I gave that course away for free. But so doing
Amazing.
that and as I'm developing my skills and which helped me reach this position now where I'm working doing some security research for NYU right now.
Hmm. And it's quite a niche thing to be interested in at such a young age. Did you ever sort of see like a film or a TV character that was kind of very into tech that was inspiring or
Hmm. I can't think of like a specific character, but
yeah.
I do remember like seeing characters in like TV shows, usually the side character that's really just technically sound and
Yeah.
supports the main character, and I like those characters. One that I think of is like Ned from Spider-Man, which I
Yeah.
think he was like the tech geek, but I don't know. I don't like describing myself as a geek, but I like this, yeah, just being able to be knowledgeable about all these technical fields and then
Yeah.
helping others
Hmm.
um, with that knowledge. So
Yeah. And as you say, you're an international student at university in the US, but tell us a bit more about what you're studying and why you picked this particular degree.
yeah, so I'm currently studying computer science and Um, well, before I get into my degree, I thought university was worth it for me. There's a lot of discussions about whether university degrees, like bachelor's degrees, are still worth it today.
Yeah.
And part of that is because, the internet's really shaping education.
Hmm.
And same with the economy and the way people are working is very shifting. So like traditional pipelines of getting jobs is starting to change. But for me, I had the privilege to go to university. Like that's
Hmm.
something my family wanted and they believed in me. So
Yeah.
um, I decided that's the best thing. And I personally believe that like if you have the opportunity and like you think uh, that you can work hard to get that degree, I still think it's worth it because employers like generally check if there's a degree. And if you don't have a degree, it's not a problem, but that just means you have to work extra harder.
Yeah.
So for me, yeah, I decided I want to go to university and knew the US generally had more opportunities for me. Also, my education was mostly um, like US based. I
Hmm.
went to an international school, which basically is like a school in a foreign country, but that teaches more like a Western education. So
Yeah.
my curriculum was American, so I was already familiar with the US education system, and it kind of set me up to go to school in the US and actually like perform well for those like entrance exams and college applications of the US. And that's why I picked the US. And I thought it was definitely been a great experience for me because of the network that how much like I expanded my network because before I've only lived most of my life in Japan. And since I got to the US, I definitely met um a lot of people who are like top tech leaders in the US
Yeah.
and just hearing a lot about um, how they started from nothing, kind of like me, like how they were once a student and then they kind of worked their way up
Yeah.
and became kind of lived that American dream in the US through technology. So it was good to learn all those stuff. But yeah, going to the US opened me up. Like I was able to meet a lot of people,
Hmm.
um, go to like hackathons and other tech conferences and events, which helped me um, win competitions and also meet more people. And finally, like because I'm in the US and I go to US college, I'm able to work certain internships that are based in the US where I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was in another country. So I'm
Yeah.
able to get very good work experience
Hmm.
from coming to the US. So um, honestly, yeah, overall, university has been worth it for me,
Yeah.
but I also believe that you can't just rely on your degree alone. Like a lot of the successes I found from coming to the US and going to university in the US didn't really come from just getting good grades in my class. It comes from doing hobbies, doing side projects, meeting people in my own time, and obviously working on my social media, posting content. So I believe that if you have the opportunity to go to college, go. But like people who don't go to college, like you still have to work hard
Yeah.
outside of those school hours. And yeah.
Hmm. And do you think now, I know you've sort of been saying in the US, you feel like you've had more opportunities to kind of break into or be around tech and make contacts within tech. But do you think, obviously, technology is constantly evolving. Do you think as technology evolves, there are more opportunities to break into tech and IT? Or do you think it's still sort of staying the same? It's quite challenging to try and find a job in tech or IT.
So what you said about technology evolving and how that might possibly bring more jobs is true.
Hmm.
I definitely believe that as technology evolves, it brings more demands into the job market, but you have to understand that learning these skills is also a risk because for you to be in that perfect position where you land a job that's has needs and demand, you would have had to study the skills about that job before it was even a thing and before it was considered like legit.
Hmm.
So, um, like an example is like people who kind of capitalize off this AI hype right now, they were learning about machine learning and all that stuff 10 years ago, and when it still was very small and people were skeptic about it. So that's kind of the price you have to pay, where it's like you kind of have to take the risk of learning a skill that doesn't necessarily pay back, but you really have to believe that that skill would be worth it in the future. And then once that time comes, it becomes worth it. So, but
Yeah.
to combat that risk, honestly, you just have to follow your gut and be actually um, curious and engaged about these topics because um, that's what a lot of these people, like a lot of these people who are very successful with every tech hype that comes. They were just in love with this field way before it was like talked about and way before it was popular. So to
Hmm.
them, it was never really work and learning skills to get a job. It was just like, this is my hobby, and I want to just continue to learn about this field and accelerate the progress that's in it. And it, like the economy just caught up with that field, whether it's like AI or blockchain, but and then they were able to capitalize from that.
Hmm. And kind of moving on to obviously your content creator side of things, and you have thousands of followers across your channels, but where did the idea come from to for you to sort of create content and specifically for tech on social media?
Yeah, so as I was learning skills outside, like in my own time in college, through like web development and other skills, I thought it would be a good way to keep myself accountable for the things I was learning by posting it online. And also digital marketing was another skill I wanted to learn during that time. Like when I just got into college, uh, one of the goals I had was I just wanted to gather a lot of skills. And the more untouched and the more like unconventional they are, I feel like the more they might be demanded because there'll be less people who have it. So
Yeah.
at the time, yeah, I felt like I dabbled with content creation a little bit in high school too, making a couple podcasts, but
Yeah.
um so I already had some experience posting online, but so I just in front of my phone, my setup is very like frugal. Like this is a iPhone SE, which is basically an iPhone 6, so
Yeah.
no fancy cameras, just me and that camera. And then just talking about important things in tech.
Hmm.
Um, Asking the right questions, bringing uh talking about things that weren't talked about already on the platform. So when I was on TikTok and when was this? Like 20, late 2022, 2023, like there was a lot of stuff about software engineering
Hmm.
because I guess that was a trend, and a lot of stuff about interview questions and how to build apps. But I realized there wasn't much about cybersecurity, and I thought to myself, like, as long as I'm not like trying to scam people, and as long as I'm trying not to um, sound like I know more than everyone else, like I could definitely just study cybersecurity and everything I learned, like as long as I attribute it to the place I learned it from, like just post it. And so as
Yeah.
I'm learning cybersecurity, I'm just like posting it online as a way to keep notes and keep myself accountable of my learning journey. And
Hmm.
then as I posted, more people enjoyed it. Well, I got a lot of engagement, and then it took off to the point where it's at right now.
Yeah. And what do you find that gets the sort like gets most people talking or commenting on videos?
Yeah, it does really depend on whatever tech hype that's going on.
Yeah.
So lately it's AI and
Hmm.
cybersecurity is popping a little bit um recently, and then whatever I think people like to talk, people are very engaged in, I guess, well, social media runs on controversy, and I try to stay away from the controversy, but anything where it's like there isn't a definitive answer. So with the AI space, it'll be like to what how should you set up your machine learning models, or like to what extent can AI really help us? Like, is it gonna replace these tasks or
Yeah.
not? Like, is it actually useful for this? Those are topics that are controversial. In cybersecurity, it's like to what extent do you have to secure whatever to that level,
Yeah.
or like uh whether some vulnerabilities actually like vulnerable or not. So those
Hmm.
are topics that like to be discussed a lot,
Yeah.
and um I try to respond to a lot of comments, but sometimes I can't keep up with it. Those are, yeah, those are very popular videos, and obviously these people who like engage in this content, a lot of them want jobs in the field. So
Hmm.
they do talk about like how to get jobs and like interview questions and whatnot. But um, me personally, kind of focus, I want to focus more on like the passion of pursuing these fields rather than like the nitty-gritty details of like how to pass the interview for entry level role and stuff. So
Yeah.
I just try to focus on like the basics and recent topics, and more like I try to make topics in software engineering, AI, cybersecurity more engaging than like
Hmm.
just a step-by-step tutorial on how to get a job. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my goal with the social media.
Yeah. That's amazing. And obviously you mentioned you kind of landed your first role as well. You're doing like research work. What does that actually involve?
Yeah, I'm currently working on one of the projects at NYU, which is like security related. It's
Mhm.
called TAF, which is I'll try and explain it simply, but it's kind of like a security framework for uploading legal documents using Git. So
Mhm.
it's using a pre-existing uh, security framework called Tough that NYU that the NYU security team developed, and then applying that to like to a legal setting to comply with certain like legal restrictions,
Mhm.
and then in that job I'm one of the more active developers. I'm changing a lot of the code, um, adding new features and writing security tests and kind of optimizing some of
Yeah.
the code.
Yeah. And so what are your career goals? Where do you kind of see yourself in the future?
Hmm. Where do I see myself in the future? Um, I think so. Like I said, I'm passionate about this field,
Mhm.
because even though I've only been in it for a couple of years, like it hasn't been my entire life, I realized technology, and specifically what like software engineering and cybersecurity, are great mediums to like help other people
Mhm.
and provide kind of business solutions and solve business problems. And I realized that the people who are best at doing this, like the lead engineers of certain companies and the ones that founded um, like game-changing algorithms and wrote amazing papers, are very sound and deep tech, which I define as like um, the inner workings of the technology they use, which includes a lot of like math and like theoretical understanding of computer science. So I just want to get really good at this field so I can bring the best, like the most benefit out of it to other people. So I
Yeah.
see myself working with yeah, getting working in very like theoretical computer science and very deep into it. So um I just see myself continue to pursue my education in this, whether it's through like formal education in like grad school or even a PhD, or just continue to work in the industry and picking up skills. But um, I want to see myself like becoming a founder of something and
Mhm.
contributing to the field of computer science. And whether that's through a startup or writing some great paper, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah, that's amazing. And speaking of industries, it kind of moves us on to the trending in tech round. So, stock markets in Europe and Asia took a bit of a tumble last week, as there were jitters over the future artificial intelligence-driven growth of major tech companies, which sparked a global sell-off. So, according to The Guardian, the main losers were AI-related companies whose shares had soared in recent months. Investors have poured money into the sector to ensure they did not miss out on a potential tech boom in artificial intelligence, but the fall has raised concerns about whether excitement over major tech stocks, known as the Magnificent Seven, have been overblown. Now, what are your thoughts on how AI is being used in the world right now? Do you think it will become as big as it's being portrayed to be?
Hmm. Um, well, when you say big as it's portrayed to be, I feel like everyone has a different perspective. I bet you
Mhm.
certain AI founders have a way bigger grand vision than I don't know, analysts who are predicting this AI economic boom. And I
Mhm.
have different, I probably am seeing this hype in a different way as well. But I can say that I think everyone would agree that AI is improving our overall efficiency with our tasks by making us more productive and accurate. So, before I kind of go into this, I would like to define AI, artificial intelligence, as like the uh yeah, like using technology and so a mix of software and hardware to
Mhm.
make better decisions, basically. So it's intelligence, but it's artificial. So it's including large language models, which is like the hot new form of AI that's trending, but we're also including other machine learning models, which it's like vision models and um, or like statistic based like prediction models. And AI, like a lot of this AI stuff is based on um, predictions, like statistical predictions that have been like run, calculated for a while through training using the hardware that we have. And so what AI has done is improved our productivity. So like for me, as for my research and as like a software developer, um, it's helped me become more productive because things like LLMs made me write code faster and like integrate existing libraries and fix bugs much quickly than I can think. And then it's also more accurate because AI has helped us improve our accuracy with our decisions because they can make these very intricate calculations and give feedback to our tasks very quickly.
Mhm.
So I just see AI because it improves our efficiency overall. Um, it just accelerates our decision making and the
Mhm.
decision and the actions that we want to pursue. And that is for both the good and the bad. So obviously for like in a business perspective, I definitely other developers like myself and people in tech IT would agree that um, AI, things like large language models, have improved their productivity through tasks. Like they just keep giving anytime they're questioning a task, they would just give it to the chatbot and then we'll give a pretty good answer.
Mhm.
And that has definitely helped them. And yeah, it definitely just helps us. But then also for the bad, like obviously malicious people
Yeah.
can execute their tasks much quickly using AI.
Do you think there's obviously so much controversy around it in the entertainment industry specifically I've seen where it can kind of replicate singers or actors in movies without the actors
Mhm.
actually having to be there. Do you think we'll see more of that, or do you think it's like film companies will probably develop rules and processes so that AI can't be used in a negative way in the industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, Obviously, I wouldn't say I'm an expert in this like legal government and compliance field of tech, but just from content, being a content creator and being active on these platforms, trying to see what's um, viral or not,
Hmm.
I definitely see that more authentic, humane content video, whether it's like videos and photos, are tend to trend way more than artificially generated stuff.
Yeah.
So, like on Instagram, there is a decent chunk of artificially generated videos and photos trying to capture, I guess, engagement by mocking past memes or
Hmm.
funny videos. But I think humans are really good at detecting whether something came from a human or is a human or not.
Hmm.
And because they're really good at that, and they're getting better because like AI is just everywhere now.
Yeah.
They can easily detect these artificial contents and easily swipe away. So from a
Hmm.
content perspective, I'm definitely seeing the trend that these artificial photos and videos, despite having fears of taking over jobs of like these creative jobs, like people are preferring things coming from real people.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not because like the AI, because the stuff that the AI makes is not bad quality. Sometimes it is, but like it's still
Hmm.
acceptable. But it's just I think it's like as consumers now, people have developed a new level where they want to now like engage with humans. Like it doesn't have to just look good. Like it has to also have a sense of like human connection. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too worried yet about AI taking over creative jobs.
Hmm. Yeah. And so that moves us on to this or that tech talks. So quick fire round. iPhone
Okay.
or Samsung?
I prefer the interface of iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah. And Spotify or Apple?
I like Spotify rap, so
Yeah.
Spotify.
And it goes everywhere. It's so interesting to see.
Yeah, I love that.
Netflix or going to the cinema?
Going to the cinema, that's an
Yeah.
experience. I like to turn off my phone. That's like my good excuse to
Yeah,
kind of plug out of the internet and stuff.
absolutely. And laptops or tablets?
Laptop, it's way easier to like work on
Yeah.
software development with a laptop.
Yeah. And chat GPT or virtual reality?
I like ChatGPT for now.
Yeah.
Like I'm more invested in this large
Yeah.
language than VR.
Yeah. And video calls or voice notes?
Oh, that's interesting. I'll say video calls because I want to see the person, but I like to send funny videos, funny voice recordings to
Yeah.
my friends.
And finally, if you could bring back one piece of tech that's either now evolved or it's since ceased to exist, what would it be and why?
So something from the past, bring it to the future.
Yeah.
Um, I like to like I'd say my fashion style recently, I'm kind of really into like the early 2000s, also late 90s kind of aesthetic.
Hmm.
And something about like wired headphones just like
Yeah.
gives me this very cool and vintage and punk kind of aesthetic to it. So I wish people would bring back like wired headphones and whatever device they're using. I'm not aware of all of them. Whatever's the
Yeah.
iPod or Walkman. Is that what
Yes,
it was?
yeah, it was a Walkman.
That's I was like born during that time, so I think they should bring that back.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Well, it's been brilliant to talk to you, Ronan. Thank you so much for coming on as a guest. That brings us to the end of this episode of Akoni Tech Talks.